Hi, and welcome to the Boat Princess podcast. My name is Nikki Vo, and I'm your host. I'm a boat owner, a marinas owner, an international conference presenter, and a huge advocate for boating. I'm sharing the stories from every nook of the boating industry with the intention of encouraging more women to join me and for more women to get behind the helm too. I want to share the experience and opportunities of boating, of the boating industry, and I want you to join me as I bring the conversations and answer all the questions you've had. Boating is not just for the glamorous and rich and famous, it's full of beautiful and interesting people making the most of our natural environment and getting out there enjoying the waterways. So, let's let off the lines, take over the helm, and escape to the world of boating. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Boat Princess podcast. I am talking to I've got to admit, this is one of my favourite companies in the boating world, and I'm going to put that straight out here because it is. And, you know, I like to be very fair about what I'm doing. So Will Green and I have known each other for a while, and it started with a visit to the factory. So Will Green, CEO of Princess Yachts, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So good to have you. We're sitting on, you know how tough my life is, guys. I am on a Y72 at Cannes Yachting Festival, and we are up on the flybridge to enjoy this boat while we're doing this podcast.
Beautiful.
Yeah, amazing. So, Will, we're going to go back a little way, if that's okay.
Okay.
And we're going to find out from your childhood, where did your boating interest start? Where did your love of the water start?
Okay. Wow. Well, that's a question I haven't been asked before. So we're from, as a family, a place called Northampton in the UK, which is about as far from the sea as you can get.
I know it well. Yeah.
But it's famous for shoemaking, and they have a good rugby team as well.
They do. Yes. My husband's been to one of their games, and he was fascinated by the fact that when they were kicking, they went completely silent. That doesn't happen in Australia on a rugby game.
Oh, every game in the UK, that's the way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. So back to Northampton.
Yeah, so I grew up in a family that were very keen fisher people. And so I spent a lot of time in small boats on reservoirs and on rivers fishing for trout and salmon. And so I was familiar with the water. Didn't do a lot of cruising style boating.
Yeah.
My father had what seemed to me to be quite a big boat when I was little, but in hindsight, it was, 22-foot cabin cruiser with an outboard engine off Ipswich on the East Coast. We used to go fishing in the English Channel for cod and whiting. And
oh, wow, brave.
Yeah. And so had a bit of sea time, but it was more camping on the water. You know, it's probably the way you should start boating.
Absolutely.
So I've been familiar with being on boats, but was never in the boat business. Started my career in the car industry, and found Princess through a mutual friend and customer when I was at Aston Martin.
Okay.
And it turned out this gentleman who had a couple of cars with us was the UK distributor for Princess Yachts.
Right. Okay.
And in my car days, I used to do a lot of, sort of cross-functional events, and I used to work with helicopter companies and any excuse really to do a luxury event with Aston.
Yes.
And I remember going to the London Boat Show and meeting with this gentleman who and his son actually, who was the managing director of Princess UK at the time. And one thing led to another, and they suggested that I should go and talk to a gentleman called David King at Princess in Plymouth about an opportunity. And I'd never really considered leaving my existing job. You know, I was very happy.
Yeah.
But I was down in the southwest of England visiting our dealership down there, and I thought, well, I'll go and have a look and see what it's all about. I don't really know much about the boat industry, but I had been to London Boat Show with my family as a youngster And I remember looking at a Princess 435 on the boat show stand, aft cabin cruiser, which was like a ship back then.
Yeah.
I remember trying very hard to persuade my family that we should be a boating family. This is for us. But I think I was probably 9 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And it didn't go very far. So I met this gentleman called David King, and one thing led to another, and here I am in the boat business.
Amazing.
Yeah. And David is the founder of Princess, and he's our longest-serving employee. He's still on the payroll today. I think he's our lowest-paid employee, but he gives a full day a week. Yeah. And he's 82 years old. He won't mind me saying that.
Yeah.
Still, sharp as a knife. And he's forgotten more about boating than I'll ever know. Yeah. He's an incredible person. And
he's a bit of a mentor for you, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
And that's part of how I get the most out of David is when he comes in, he spends a lot of time with the development team working on new boats, really trying to help us not make the mistakes that he's made over the years. He's a very, very modest man, but he's fantastic. Yeah. And obviously he's got a lifetime of developing boats. So he's an incredible guy and has been a great mentor for me in my role. I'd not been a CEO before, and I have a slot with him every week where I get to ask him lots of questions, and he pretends not to know the answer, but somehow finds one during our cup of coffee that we have once a week.
That's fantastic. Yeah, because that, as the founder of Princess, he's got so much knowledge under his belt of what's gone wrong, what's gone right, all of those sorts of things. So to have that as a bouncing, because often as CEOs, we don't have necessarily somebody bounce ideas off that we think will be okay, but we're not really sure. Because you can't bounce that off the people that are below you, because you've got to be a strong leader to show them, okay, I've got this great idea, I think we should do this. What do you think? So that must be nice to have him to bounce that off.
Oh, it's fantastic. And he gives himself no credit for the company that he's created. Yeah. He gives all the credit to the people around him. Yeah. And that humility and that modesty sort of pervades Princess. That's who we are. Yeah. And I think our management team now is full of people who've grown up at Princess. We are I think hopefully a modest team of long-serving people who really understand the DNA of the company and have been brought up in David's shadow, really. Yeah. And hopefully we'll do him proud in taking the company through the next chapter.
Yeah, amazing. Because you've been there yourself since 2003?
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
That's well remembered. Yeah. So I've just had my 22nd anniversary on the 3rd of September.
Fantastic.
I remember joining 2 days before the Southampton Boat Show.
2 days before that's throwing you in the deep end, isn't it?
Well, it's a nice way to start, actually. And I remember that I was asked or gifted the chance to go to the boat show on board a Princess. Yeah. So I took the 6-hour passage from Plymouth to Southampton.
Oh, that's a fantastic way to start, because
wasn't it?
Because you really get to experience the product in action. And that's so important.
With a delivery crew, I remember the Cornish pasty that they got for me that we ate on the way up. It was fantastic. And I spent most of the journey on the flybridge. I just thought it was wonderful. Yeah. I think to the crew, this is something they do every day, but to me, it was amazing.
Yes.
I was on a 70-foot Princess, just cruising up the English Channel. Fantastic.
Oh, that's such a good way to start. Because you truly, because I think what's really important as being involved in selling of boats and talking to customers about boats is you need to be able to tell them the real story of what it's like out there. You can't just do the sales brochure. You need to, we went from here to here and the experience was this and that,
Yeah, and I think the reason I'm so fond of David and his approach, and also this gentleman who introduced me to David in the first place, who was born salesman. He was the managing director and owner of Princess UK. Yeah. And his advice to his salespeople was that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them proportionately. And that is a fundamental at Princess. And I think that hopefully humility that comes with growing up in that sort of environment has taught us to really listen to our customers. And you're not allowed to have an ego if you work at Princess. It's, we appreciate and respect the fact that our customers know our boats better than we do because they live on them.
Yeah.
And so who else is better to guide you in what you should develop in the next one than the people who are living on the current range? And so that engagement with customers is something that's really part of the success story at Princess, is we really listen.
Yeah.
And we don't pretend to know better than our owners. So that's absolutely part of our core DNA and our values going forwards. And actually, I think it's probably happened by osmosis, just because of the type of people that we are and the type of people that Princess attracts. But I think that recognition that that's why we are who we are has been quite a deliberate decision in how we intend to go forwards, and we want to get closer to the customers. And I say to our 2,500 boat builders, I want you to behave like the owner of this boat is sitting next to you while you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's fitting a piece of cabinetry or laying a carpet or whatever it might be, installing an important piece of engineering equipment. Imagine that the owner and their families are with you while you're doing this. You know, that understanding and need for quality at every step is fundamental to our success. And we trade on that. You know, we're proud that we build among the best boats in the business, if not the best boats in the business. And that's deep rooted.
That's a really clever way of doing it and making them really feel that responsibility of, you know, this is going to someone and they're going to enjoy it. And the better you build it, the more they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we're not great at is because we're so vertically integrated. You know, we make everything on these boats. We make our own fuel tanks. We make our own water tanks. We even make our own wiring looms.
Yeah.
And in employing so many people, just building Princess parts or Princess Yachts, it's difficult to give everybody a taste of the finished product. And in fact, I'm doing a lot of work in my new role. You know, I used to be the sales guy, so I spent a lot of time in the field and less time in the shipyard. But now I'm on the shop floor a lot.
Yeah.
And it strikes me when I do long service lunches or we do modest things to thank long-serving employees, and we've got a lot of people that have done 30, 35, 40 years. You know,
Fantastic.
It's incredible. And when you speak to someone and they say, actually, I've never been on a Princess, a finished boat, wow, that is something we need to change.
Yeah.
And so next year, we just announced this to our distributors. We're intending to do a boat show in Plymouth, but just for employees and their families.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've asked members of our dealer network if they would come and host it.
Yeah.
And to give something back and say thank you to the people that make it happen.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a realization in our management team that the person actually that's closest to the customer is the person that builds the boat.
Yes.
You know, not the management team or the sales team. It's that what they build is what the customer experiences, and I want them to feel that closeness. And I think also customers love it when they come on the line and they meet the people who are actually building their boat.
Absolutely.
And you've been to the shipyard. You know, we're quite isolated in the southwest of England.
Yeah.
But despite that fact, we have visitors from around the world every day of the week.
Yeah.
They love to come and see their boats and build and meet the people actually putting them together.
It's a very exciting part of the boat. In fact, some people buy boats for the build process, and then a year later they sell them because they want to go back to the build process.
That is true.
You know?
There's not enough of those. We need more. No, it's true. There are. We've got some customers that are, you know, well into double figures. I think of one customer. He's had 25 boats.
Oh, fantastic!
And he just loves the build process, and you know, he's a special guy. He's become very good friends with our distributor, and just likes to be part of it. And you know, helps to bring new boats into the territory, and they find new homes, and he goes again.
Yeah. Well, you do. I must say, as a brand, you do give a very family-orientated feel. I will never forget. It was a speech you made at Sanctuary Cove Boat Show at the Princess event in the evening. So it's all Princess owners and VIPs there. And you said your immediate start of the speech was, "I'd like to thank you all for being here because without you, Princess doesn't exist." Or something similar to that, right? And that you said that you know, you're really important to us. What you say is really important. All those sorts of things. it struck me immediately because I'd been to another brand's event the night before, and there it was all about them. It was all about their brand, how good their boats are, blah, blah, blah. But you immediately started with, look, you guys are so important to us, and it's really great that you're here, because without you, you know, the 2.5, you mentioned the 2,500 people that we employ wouldn't be employed.
Yeah.
And that's a really, I think that's where you guys come from all the time, and that's one of the reasons I love Princess, I have to say. Yeah.
And to be honest, I can't think of it from another perspective.
Yeah.
You know, that's surely that's the way it's got to be. You know, without our customers, none of us have got
Yes.
a job or a boat to build or a boat to design. So it's got to be where it starts, as far as I'm concerned. And I think we're very lucky because we do consider ourselves to be a family. You know, we've got a very long-standing distributor network that they are an extension of the shipyard. And our customers, you know, we get to know them personally, and it's really special. I've got, you know, some very close friends that you know, through the industry, that often I say to people when they say, "Oh, it must be wonderful to travel the world," and you say, "Well, it is, but you know, you spend a lot of time in airplanes, as you know, a lot of times in average hotels." But I say the one thing that is true, which is probably quite unique, is I could go to most countries in the world and spend time with people that I genuinely consider friends.
Yes.
And they might be distributors or customers, and you know, and we do enjoy each other's company. And I think that we're fortunate because people that buy Princess generally are quite knowledgeable about what a boat means and should be. Often they're families, and we're quite a family brand, and we appeal to customers that really go boating. And that might sound quite strange to an Australian,
Yeah.
because you are, you know, among the global customer base. You know, you're owner operators. You go cruising, you go exploring, and you're not afraid to take a boat, you know, in heavy seas and go passage making. But that's not always the case. It's often the case with Princess. You know, that is our customer. That is who we want to appeal to.
Yeah.
We want our boats to be used and enjoyed, and we want grandchildren to experience life at sea with their families and that time on board. You know, that's what it's all about, and exploring far-flung destinations and hidden coves, and not as a, you know, an object in a marina that's, you know, a piece of material. It's more than
a
that.
prize.
It's a life. You know,
Yeah.
it's and it does define people's social lives. And you know, we're very fortunate, particularly in Australia, and we have other distributors around the world that do similar things, where we've created a family of owners that become quite close friends. And when we do events, you know, perhaps there's an organized event where people will go boating together,
Yep.
but then they'll splinter off in different parties, and they'll continue to go on holiday together.
Yes.
You know, and have
Yeah.
become, you know, forged lifelong friendships, which is fantastic that we're part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Greg does a fantastic trip north to Hamo. Pretty
Yeah,
much
I think
every
they're on
year,
the way
doesn't he?
now.
Yeah, I think they're doing it
Yeah.
now, aren't they? And that is no mean feat. You know, they are not friendly seas.
That's right.
Going up there. So for the hulls to handle that as beautifully as they do is absolutely amazing. And that you know, Hamilton is an amazing boating region. So to do that all together and enjoy that moment together is amazing.
Yeah,
it's
and I think,
incredible.
you know, that's as far as the product's concerned, you know, that's what we do. We build a high quality, highly finished and detailed product, and the craftsmanship is one element, but the second element, which is so important, is the way a Princess handles the sea.
Yeah.
And nobody really sets out to be caught out in a 3-meter sea or worse. But you know, if you're on a Princess, that if you end up in one, then you're going to be okay, and the boat will handle a lot more than the family will be happy to be in. So I think that breeds a confidence that takes people perhaps beyond what they perceive to be the limits of cruising. And these events are fantastic because you're with people who've done it before, who are confident and who can lead the party. And that's not just Greg and Scott and the team. that's other owners.
Absolutely. A lot of owners, we have some owners in our marina at Empire Marina Bobbin Head who sometimes do a trip north, and they will say to other people in the marina who they know aren't as confident in their boats, look, we're going north, did anyone want to come with us? And that is such a nice thing, because there are some really, if you don't know the waterway, it's quite daunting. So I think that's fantastic the boaters do that.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you've got Greg Haynes looking after Princess in Australia.
Yep.
Good team, amazing people. They're based at Sanctuary Cove. I've seen a lot more Princess appear in Australia recently, which has been lovely, because they always make a marina look very pretty.
Thank you.
But do you think it's because of where the brand is at the moment, or do you think it's more? I mean, Greg's a very he's from a very famous boating family in Australia, so he's got that heritage behind him for people to trust him with buying a boat from him, as it were. Do you think it's that? Do you think it's part of the brand? Do you think it's an understanding that your hulls really can handle our waters? Oh, by the way, I live on the Sovereign Islands in Gold Coast.
Yep.
And boats go past me all day, right? Which is Boat Princess heaven. I love it. And there are some that give a wake that we've got a kind of seawall in front of our garden that has a curve underneath it, so it hits the water back out again. Mm-hmm. If some other brands go past us, that we get this great big splash. Yours, you can go past at huge speed, right, very close to us, and it just lips and curves and lips and curves. So
that's interesting. Yeah. I would say that is absolutely a function of the boats that we design. So we're very proud of our hull shapes, and it's a jealously guarded secret. And I think it's recognised in the industry that Princess builds. We set the bar for what a great boat should perform like, and that's evolved over the years. And obviously, every time you develop a new boat, you try and outdo the last one, slightly better. I think if you look at a Princess at sea, our boats are planing hulls, and they really do get out and on top of the water. And obviously, the more efficiently a boat's planing, the less wash it's creating. And it's very deliberate in the way that the hull is designed with the naval architects. The amount of hull rocker, which is sort of the banana shape of the hull, dictates the amount of transom that's submerged when you're planing, which fundamentally dictates the size of the wake behind the boat. And the benefit is that the smoother the planing shape and the amount of wash that you're creating, the less fuel you're burning, the more efficiently you're cruising. So that's a very deliberate design philosophy. And I'm often asked, what's Princess's sustainability credentials? And there's a lot of greenwashing in the industry. And our fundamentals, we have our main focus on sustainability is on our manufacturing footprint. Yep. We've recently put solar cells. We've got 1 million square feet of factory facilities, and now more than half of them are covered with solar panels, which is absolutely been a revelation, both for our carbon footprint but also for our electricity bill.
Yeah, I can imagine. Especially in UK, because it went horrifically high, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And in addition to that, our South Yard facility is heated with the wood waste from our furniture shop with a biomass boiler. So that's sort of the answer to the sustainability question. But the key to it really is in our product is the slipperier the hull shape, the less fuel you're going to burn for the same speed.
Yeah.
And that has absolute real benefits both to the environment and to the owner. The fuel cost goes down, you're able to maybe go quicker or go the same speed and burn less fuel, reduce your costs. And so the hull shape is fundamental to what we're doing.
Absolutely. And in a country like Australia, our distances are so great. Going up to Hamo, for example, uses a fair amount of fuel. Yeah. So the more efficiently it's doing that, the better the more comfortable that becomes for the owner. So that's a good thing. Yeah,
and I think another fact is that there are some boats where you can go out in rougher weather than others, and you might be quite comfortable in a certain sea condition, sea state in a Princess, where other captains of other boats probably wouldn't want to leave the marina.
Yeah.
And that's nice to hear when when you're independently approved, let's say, by there's a whole industry of professional captains out there, either as charter boat captains or running private boats or delivering boats around the world. There's a whole industry delivering boats from shipyards, and a lot of those captains would testament to Princess's hull design, and because they've got to get to the ship whatever the weather.
Yes.
And that's very nice to hear, to have that sort of professional approval as well as the feedback from customers.
Yeah. And you were dead right about the Australians. They really do boat themselves. Often we'll get on a boat in a European show and go, why are there crew quarters on this boat? Why do we need those?
Yeah.
Because Australians, a lot, even on a boat this size, 72 feet, because you can do it as a couple or two mates together or whatever. You can handle this size boat with two people these days because of all the equipment and wonderful gear you've got on board. But yeah, we do tend to use our crew quarters as storage for our toys or whatever. So we like not like they do the beach clubs and the different things that you do down on the back of boats now. That's really nice for us as Australians, that you're using that space for something we find is as garage or that's fantastic. We love that sort of stuff. So I know you enjoy the fact that as a company you've got generations of people working for you, several generations of families, which I guess it must be nice that because in a lot of the boating industry right now, we are in danger of losing some skill sets.
Yeah.
Because there are smaller shipwright companies, mechanics, those sorts of things, that they own these lovely businesses, but nobody appears to be willing to take those on. You've got a bit of a security blanket in a way, not assuming it and not taking it for granted, but because you've got because you're based in Plymouth, funnily enough, and you've got families working for you, do you feel that those skill sets are being passed across, which in other parts of the industry are being lost?
Yeah, not enough, if I'm honest. But yes, I mean, we're very proud that we've got multi-generations of the same family in the company, and we probably don't make enough of it. But I think over the years, Princess has been considered a good place to work, and in the background of the UK having a problem with skilled labour, which I think is not a UK problem, it's a global challenge, that young people, maybe they don't consider working with their hands to be the right thing to do with their lives. It's almost considered sort of a second class career to work with your hands, which I consider it the absolute opposite.
Yeah.
And the previous generation would, the advice from mothers and fathers to sons and daughters would be, get a trade, because whatever else happens, you've always got something to fall back on. People will always need carpenters. People will always need engineers. You can't, life cannot happen without these people, whether it's building homes or building yachts. And I think in the last decade, there's been a huge pressure for young people to go to university and be more competitive as a result in the job community. But actually, I think it's been the opposite. It's almost devalued the level of education that you've got. Having a degree is no longer the differentiator that it was, because everybody's got one.
Yes, that's true.
And so there's more pressure for further education. Do you go and do a master's or whatever? And of course, in the UK now, with our education system, if you go to university, you've got to pay your fees.
Yes.
So there's a lot of graduates with a huge amount of debt.
Yes.
And a very competitive job environment where they don't have a particular set of skills. They've got a degree, but they're not equipped for work. But of course, they have a need for a significant income to pay off all this debt. So it's a bit of a problem. And I think the UK has started to address it with more emphasis on vocational studies and maybe a push back towards apprenticeships and on-the-job training to get kids into work, and not necessarily force them to go to university. I know my priority for my own children will not be to push them into university if they don't want to do it.
Mm.
Sure, if they want to be something that requires that extra level of study, then fine. And if they want to go and study, then great. But it's certainly not a prerequisite, I think, today. And we really struggle to find skilled workers. And we're doing our own bit to try and encourage young people into the workforce. So, for example, this year we're increasing our apprentice intake by 50%.
That's big.
So, and we have a very close association with the College of Further Education in Plymouth, and they're very supportive. And actually, we won an award for the second time with Princess Anne for our apprenticeship program. So we take training and the sort of succession of the workforce really seriously, and I still don't think we're doing enough. It's something that's high on my agenda. I go to a lot of long service, as I was mentioning earlier. I go to a lot of long service events. And there's a lot of grey hair in the business. You think, right, okay, well, if we're going to sustain our levels of output, perhaps even grow maybe one day, how are we going to do that with an aging workforce? And it is encouraging when you meet, younger people with an ambition to create something. I'm very proud of our position in UK manufacturing. We had our industrial revolution some time ago, and UK manufacturing is not what it once was. So we still have a real handle on the highest quality. We have a very strong car industry in the high end goods, and I think we're very strong in the marine industry. And Princess is a core to that. I think we're now the biggest boat builder in the UK in terms of revenue, and certainly in terms of boat volume.
Yeah.
So we take that as we're proud of it, but we also take it as a responsibility, because we don't just employ 2,500 boat builders. We're responsible for their families. So let's say that's 10,000, and then if you add up all of the suppliers and the support companies that are associated with Princess, it's more like 12,000 people in Plymouth and their families. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, in a city that's only 250,000 people, we have a direct impact on quite a serious percentage of the population.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of that, and I take the responsibility really seriously.
Yeah, that's really good. And interestingly, you say about the debt that people are now facing when they're going to university. I kind of think it's going to start fixing itself a bit, hopefully, because I know some young people around my family that have purposely made the decision, well, I don't really want to be $50,000 in debt. Mm-hmm. So what can I do that means that I don't do that? And they're therefore moving towards vocational positions and so on and so forth to earn a decent money immediately. Because the other issue we have, and I'm sure it's the same in the UK, the rent in Australia is horrendous. So they need a certain amount of money to be able to live away from home. So they almost can't go to uni and pay for their uni fees and do some part-time job like we all used to when we went to uni, to pay for the rent. They need a substantial income. So I'm hoping that kind of starts to fix him. I think it's going to take a little while, but I'm hoping that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think nobody wants to start their career carrying a huge burden of debt. So let's hope that's right. Yeah.
So I know you've got some exciting things happening at Princess at the moment. I was lucky enough to attend your press event yesterday, which was great. And you had some really exciting things happening. And this one's coming out after Monaco as well. So you might even be able to mention a few things that's happening at Monaco as well. And one of them, which I was particularly excited about as a Sydney person, because our Sydney Harbour is a fairly, shall we say, taxing location for a day boat. It needs a really good hull, and it really needs to hand and to go quickly to places, because you need to avoid the sailing yachts, the ferries, the cruise ships.
I've experienced it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually need to go at speed across the harbour to get somewhere that's not quite so busy. So your new boat that you were talking about yesterday, tell us about that one with the outboards on it.
Yeah. So we have a core product range of flybridge boats and sport cruisers and which cover a variety of different classes: V-class sports boats, S-class, which is sports boats with a sport flybridge. X-class is our nod to exploration, big volume, long-range cruising vessel. And sort of fundamental development plan for Princess is to maintain that product range and keep it fresh. And the way that we might grow the company is to expand our product range, both vertically, which is sort of obvious if you've got a 70, maybe you've got 20 customers with 70s who might want an 80. So, to grow upwards is an obvious course to take. But we also see opportunities to grow our brand laterally. And there's lots of exciting different boats in the industry, lots of different styles of boats that can get you out having fun on the water. And we have seen a demand from existing customers and friends in the industry that understand all the different markets around the world. And so we've developed our new C-Class range, which is designed as a center console walk-around, let's say, day boat.
Yeah.
It's more than a day boat.
It does have cabins, which is
Yes,
exciting.
yeah. But that concept of perhaps getting closer to the water, some of our larger owners have multiple boats, and we see from them a demand for this style of boat. And whilst it is a popular style, there's lots of brands in this space, we feel that there's nobody really building the boat that we would want and perhaps our customers would want in this space. So we've developed the C-Class, which starts with our new C48, which is a boat with deep walk-around gunnels and wide side decks that can run at speed, either with inboard diesels, which is obviously safe ground for Princess with Volvo stern drives, but also to appeal to customers that want outboard engines. So C-Class will be the first range that is available with outboards. So it's breaking new ground, and perhaps we've got a bit more confidence to be brave with product development. X-Class for us was quite challenging for quite a historically conservative company, but it's really paid dividends, and it's commercially it's been a resounding success. And so developing C-Class has come quite naturally to us to do something new and exciting, a boat that we'd all like to own and operate ourselves. And perhaps it answers all the questions for a buyer that we don't reach today.
Well, yeah, because, a perfect example is if somebody's got a lovely 72 Y up on Hamilton Island, but they actually live in Sydney. So normally they go boating in the north, but every now and then they want to go out on a boat on Sydney Harbour and just enjoy it. That would be the perfect boat for them, because they just like cars, we all get used to a certain brand and we like what that brand does. So if that brand gives us a boat that we can have for that scenario as well, that makes us happy, because we can enjoy that same feel, that same where everything is in the same spot, and it's and the same finishes, knowing that this fabric that they use is a great one that's easy to look after and doesn't get as hot, and all those sorts of things that are actually really important little touches that we all look for in a boat. I think that's brilliant that you're bringing that together and giving a little nudge to that market, because it's a very strong market at the moment. So
it's exciting for us, and this is a boat with a serious hull, so it's obviously that's a fundamental for us. This is going to be quite a fast boat, particularly with the triple V12 engines from Mercury.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a 50-knot boat, and we've been working with Olazinski and our own naval architects. We brought in a third party, so it's sort of this superpower triumvirate of Olazinski, Princess, and Michael Peters. Yeah. So the underwater section of the hull is a Michael Peters twin-stepped hull with the twin-step ventilated hull, which is patented. And I've experienced different incarnations of it. It does all the things that you'd expect Princess to do. It's a very comfortable, soft ride, even in heavy seas.
Yeah.
And a very dry ride, which are sort of fundamentals to how a Princess should perform. But also, this can do it up to 50 knots with the twin steps. So really exciting to be able to deliver Princess's version of what a day boat should be.
Yeah.
And it's maybe a bit flippant to say day boat. This is a 48 foot. This is a big boat to a lot of people, and it has a serious amount of freeboard. It has the option of 1 or 2 cabins below deck, a proper stand-up shower that is part of a bathroom. Separate shower and heads. That makes life on board more comfortable and built to Princess standards of interior fit and finish. So I think we're pretty excited about this concept. The first one's going to be launched in the US, which is the first for us as well. So Fort Lauderdale show next year, and then they will start being shipped around the world. So hopefully we'll see one on Sydney Harbour before too long.
Oh, I'd love to see one on Sydney Harbour. That'd be great.
So the first boat is going to be an open style, open main deck, and then later down the track we'll be launching a deck saloon version. So for those customers that want to be able to shut the doors, shut the roof, and be completely enclosed, maybe with air conditioning in hot weather or even in foul weather. We're thinking of British buyers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll have a deck saloon version down the track also, which is exciting.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that sort of space is, in Australia, for example, if we're out on a bay, it's nice to go down and have a snooze in an air-conditioned space rather than, because we need that cover and that space because it does get so damn hot. It'll be a great boat for the Gold Coast as well, because we got lots of shallow space up there, but lots of wonderful places to go, so it'll be fantastic up there as well. And outboards are, especially in Australia, because most of our boating is saltwater boating. Mm-hmm. So in fact pretty much all of it is, so that will be great for maintenance purposes for us. And outboards are very different to what they used to be. They're so quiet now.
Yeah.
So it's a different sort of boating to what it used to be.
Yeah, and we recognise that there's more and more boats of this style being developed, and we want a piece of it, and to be part of that journey.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Now we did touch on your brand differences, because you've got models that have a certain. They all have a different reason for being. Their X and the Y means something, right?
That's
so
right.
Can we just do for the listeners, before we go on to what's happening in Monaco, because that's super exciting as well, those basic model ranges, and what's the fundamental difference between the P, the Y, the X, and so on? Can you do that for us?
Yeah, so I think the fundamentals of craftsmanship and seakeeping and performance at sea, go across all the ranges. But if we start at the most sporty, I guess now we have the C-Class. That's going to be pretty youthful design and pretty exciting and high speed, adrenaline. So that'll be our most sporty boat. Then when you get into the more cruising style boats, V-Class is our traditional sports boat. And so this is a single main deck, no flybridge, and a relatively simple boat to operate. So when you finish, you can shut the roof, shut the doors, and almost walk away. So that's quite appealing to buyers that want simplicity, and also young families that want to be able to see where the kids are maybe at all times.
Good point.
And then it actually happened as a result of the global financial crisis. We developed the S-Class. Okay. So the market for some reason, the market for large sports boats seemed to get hit hardest in the GFC.
Interesting.
And so we pivoted a bit and we developed S-Class. So we thought we need a sports boat, but why not have one that appeals to a customer that wants to be able to have better visibility in shallow water, perhaps. Or maybe there's a flybridge customer out there who loves our boats but really wants a garage for their tender.
Yes, I'm one of those.
So S-Class was born. And I remember there was a huge Palmer Johnson, which was a sports boat that had this sort of mini sport bridge. And that was part of the inspiration for trying to create something new in the industry. And then now, at least, sports fly is sort of fairly common term. But maybe we shouldn't take the credit for inventing the segment, but we were certainly at the leading edge of it. And that's now a range in its own right, and it's my personal favourite. And then these more traditional flybridge boats, so you sort of dispense with the sliding opening roof on the main deck, and the flybridge goes all the way forward to almost to the main helm position. In doing so, you create about 30% more interior volume. So for buyers that want a bigger flybridge and they want that air-conditioned space, and perhaps are happy to dispense with the garage and the sunbed aft and maybe the bigger cockpit. And that's really where we began life, building flybridge boats. That's I often refer to, when we launch new models in the flybridge range, to be core Princess territory, because that's kind of our heritage. Another new product that we're launching is a new F54, which is right in the heartland of that Princess flybridge, mid 50 feet. It's shaft drive. It's answering the needs of where Princess customers want to go, and I think being shaft drive, it's going to be quite unique in that size range, because the industry is really heavily into IPS, but our hull shape really dictates that to have a true deep V Princess hull, it works better with shafts on the larger boats and the mid-sized boats.
And I don't think that's a bad thing, because there's plenty of customers. Well, I'm a perfect example. I would prefer a shaft over an IPS. So, and there's a lot of traditionalists that do not want to go down the IPS path. So that gives them the option, right?
That's right, and you'll be thinking that the Volvo will be throwing hand grenades at you, but actually the boat is a Volvo power boat, and it's also has the option of joystick manoeuvring, but it's done with shafts and propellers, so we can remain friends with our partners at Volvo Penta, because obviously they're a very important part of the package. But yeah, we like shafts and props, and I think that torque and that simplicity is appealing to our customers.
And then you've got we've gone V, and then we've gone S, and then we've got F, and then we go to
Y. So we wanted to make that differentiation when you go up above 70 feet on the flybridge boats, because standard of standard sounds a bit strange, but the level of standard equipment changes. So air conditioning becomes a prerequisite and becomes a standard feature, crew accommodation as well. So you mentioned how Aussies use the boats differently, and Australian customers might not necessarily use a crew, because you're owner-operators. You drive the boat yourselves, you're happy to wash the boat down yourselves. So why have a crew cabin? Unless you've got a very large family and you use it as guest space. So the crew on boats up to 70 feet is an option. Some customers prefer to use it as a lazarette storage area and not fit it out with showers and beds and the like. Once you get to 70 feet, crew becomes a standard feature, and so we developed Y-Class to be able to justify that next level of sophistication of design and the extra level of content that goes into the bigger boats. So that's Y-Class, which goes all the way up to the Y95. And then, as I mentioned
I've noticed a visible difference in the quality of the finishes in a Y as well, right?
Yeah, I think we have different ranges of fabrics, and a customer can customize the boat as they wish, but we have different levels of standard fabrics and finishes, and we do try and differentiate the larger boats, and it's a bigger space, so you need to create more features to keep it interesting. Otherwise you end up with quite a vanilla, large vanilla space inside. So there has to be more feature to make it still feel rich and enticing and interesting. So that's Y-Class, which goes from this boat that we're sitting on, the Y72, up to the Y95, the Y80 in between. And then I forget how long ago it was now that we launched the X-Class. And I remember sitting in a design meeting with David King, and we showed the profile of the X95, which is definitely more challenging for some customers. It's not the sort of streamlined, typical Princess shape. And David King nearly fell off his chair when he saw it. And
I can imagine, because it is. I'm going to use this word. It's boxier, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a huge interior volume. So the secret of X-Class,
it's designed from the inside out rather than the outside in, kind of thing.
I think it's a style of boat that creates a huge amount of volume inside. So yeah, absolutely, from the inside, it's very compelling. You've got the space in the X95, similar interior volume that we had in our 35 meter, which was 115 feet, 10 years ago. So there's certainly benefits of taking that main helm, dispensing with the main helm, because you move it up onto the upper deck and create that enclosed space with the upper deck sky lounge. But I think our customers' tastes have changed, and this sort of forward rake windscreens and more explorer style vessels are quite popular now. So I think timing was good. Yeah, I do agree that we were probably braver than we traditionally be. David would definitely agree with that. And there are customers out there that don't want to live with that style of vessel, but there's a lot that do. And the 95, it's actually a mixed line now with the X and Y, but it's we're now building our 41st 95. Yeah. So the X class is.
The market did change a little bit in COVID, didn't it? Where people boats became more lived in. Good old Starlink's helped that as well, because people can actually base themselves on their boat now more so than they could in the past.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think connectivity has made a big difference.
Yeah. So
I think as I said, our customers really are users and passage makers, and so it wasn't uncommon anyway to have customers that spend 2 or 3 months a year on board the boat as a second home almost. Passage making and stopping here, there, and everywhere. Here in the Mediterranean, cruising through different countries. Maybe Greek islands and Turkey one season, or the Adriatic coast. And but connectivity and Starlink in particular has made that accessibility and being able to work from the boat, much more practical.
Yeah. And the X range, as I understand it, has a greater range. And therefore gives you that. I'm guessing X stands for Explorer, right? It's that sort of.
Yeah, I think that's the concept. I think the reality is that all of our hulls are so slippery that if you're happy to run at displacement speed, they're all long range hulls.
Okay.
They don't look like it because they're quite sporty looking yachts. Whether even the the flybridge boats, they look fast, but the reality is that with stabilization, more and more customers are cruising at slower speeds and enjoying the journey rather than racing to the destination and then having fun.
Yes.
Stabilization has transformed the industry in the way that owners enjoy their boats. And I think the cost of fuel has probably played a big part of that as well.
Yeah.
But so the X class is intended to be long range, and actually our aspiration for top speed is less important on those style of boats, where a yacht shares a common hull. So our X80 shares a hull, believe it or not, with the Y80 and the S80, which is
right?
Extremely fast boat.
Yeah.
And as a result, the X80 goes a lot quicker than it looks like it should, which is a nice benefit. But I think it's true that long range passage making is becoming more and more important, and enjoying that time afloat and exploring. Maybe slowing the pace of life down has definitely changed, and as I say, stabilization is so effective now that that's a reality of life on board now.
Yeah, and by stabilization, just to clarify for the listeners, you're talking about the introduction of gyros and fins that move around and all those wonderful things that we can get now.
That's right. Yeah, so we on the smaller vessels we fit gyros. And generally on the larger boats we fit hydraulic fins, or now starting to fit the new electric fins from Sleipner, which are fantastic. And we've got some great partners in stabilization. And if you haven't experienced it, believe me, it defies gravity. It is fantastic, and it just transforms boating. I think the reality is maybe in a family, there may be 1 or 2 people that are driving the decision to take the family boating, but a lot of families have less hardy members of the family when it comes to seafaring, and seasickness is not a nice thing if you've ever experienced it. So to be able to make the boat comfortable and accessible for everyone that you might want to have on board makes a massive difference to the enjoyment of everybody on board, including the salty sea dogs that might be driving the decision to go boating in the first place.
Absolutely.
If Granny is comfortable and not feeling poorly, then you go boating more frequently.
Exactly,
so
and less likely to fall over as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about all the different models you do. I know there's something really exciting you're doing at Monaco. Tell us about that.
Yes. So we had our press conference here in Cannes, and we got so many new products in the pipeline. next off the line is our new X90, which we haven't spoken about, which is quite a different concept for us, where we've created a beach club style cockpit, pushing the cockpit closer to the water. It's a step down from the main deck, with optional folding balconies. So you've got this sort of open vista at the back end of the boat, and that's coming out in spring of next year, before the 54 and the C48. But after that, we are going back into super yachts. So it's been, what's it been now? 7 years, I think, since we delivered our last 40 metre. And since then, all of our capacity at Southyard has been absorbed with other things. And it's a shame, we miss it. And we, as I said, we built or are building our 41st, in a minute, hopefully our 42nd 95-footer. And all of those customers have the potential to want another boat, maybe a bigger boat. And today they don't have an option with Princess. So we see the secret to our success as having the best boats in the business and delivering the best customer experience in the business. A lot of customers, for that reason, want to stay with us. If we don't offer them a bigger boat, they have no alternative but to go elsewhere. So we're going to answer that question with a new program and a new product range called Odyssey. And
I like it.
Yeah, so we're announcing our first boat in that range, the 106 Odyssey, at Monaco Yacht Show. So very exciting times ahead. And of course, it's become part of our DNA. The boat will be built at Southyard in Plymouth, which is where we built numerous M-class vessels that were over 100 feet. We had our 30 metre, 32 metre, a 35 and a 40 metre. So, we know how to do it. We learned lessons through those earlier programs that we will inform, getting a very compelling product range together for the years ahead, and giving our loyal customers somewhere to continue the journey with Princess.
Well, that's right, because boat owners do that. They go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you don't have an option, then you lose them. So we don't want to do that, do we? That's
right. Yeah. And sometimes they go smaller again. So, perhaps the kids leave home and boating changes. So we want to be able to answer that question for customers that want to continue that voyage with Princess.
Yeah. Well, Will, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really good to chat with you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Nice to see you.
And you. Is there anything you want to leave the listeners with that you really think we haven't covered and they should know about you or Princess or how the world's going?
I think, I don't want to comment on the world. The world's a strange place. But,
yeah, it sure is.
Perhaps, even in times like this, the ability to take your family and friends into your private island on board your Princess with great people and supported by great people that crafted some of the finest vessels in the world, hand built in England, is a good place to weather the storm while hopefully the world gets back on its feet and into a more sensible direction. But we're very happy and proud to be in the marine industry, which is in itself is a lovely place to be. It's a friendly industry, and it's competitive, but we are friendly with our competitors. It's a nice industry from that, and respectful industry from that perspective. But Princess, within what's already a special place, is an incredibly special company and brand. And it's, when I say brand, it's not just the shipyard. This is the world of Princess around the world. We built over 18,000 vessels over time, and that's a lot of people boating with our brand. And for some reason, probably more by accident than by design, Princess attracts nice people in general, and we're very proud to have such a warm and experienced family to go boating with. So hopefully for many years ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Will.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you on the water soon. Hi everyone, thought I'd just jump in here and say thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate you doing so. Please share it with your friends, tell people about it. and give us a review. We'd really appreciate a review. We'd like to know what you'd like to hear about as well. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, Nikki Vo, The Boat Princess, and Instagram at The Boat Princess. If you'd like to get involved in some of our events, then contact us at info@theboatprincess.com or simply sign up for our newsletter at theboatprincess.com. You take care. We'll see you on the water soon. It's lovely to have you here. We appreciate you. The Boat Princess podcast is hosted by Nikki Vo, produced by the Boat Princess Media, and available anywhere you get your podcast.